What if the loudest person in the room is actually the weakest, and the quietest person is the one everyone remembers? Think about it. When someone talks non-stop, they reveal everything, their intentions, their emotions, their insecurities. But the person who speaks less, they're harder to read. And the human brain is naturally drawn to mystery. Silence isn't just the absence of words, it's a psychological advantage. Imagine you're in a meeting. One person jumps into every conversation, trying to prove they're smart. Another person simply listens. They take in every opinion, every mistake, every hidden emotion. Then, after everyone else has finished, they speak once. And suddenly, everyone pays attention. Why? Because our brains automatically assign more value to things that are rare. If someone talks all the time, every sentence loses weight. But when someone speaks only when it matters, every word feels important. This is called the scarcity effect. What is less available often feels more valuable. Now here's something even stranger. Most people think confidence sounds loud, but real confidence usually sounds calm. Have you ever noticed how experienced leaders rarely rush to fill every silence? They don't interrupt. They don't argue over every point. They're comfortable waiting. That's because silence communicates something words often can't. It says, "I don't need your approval," and people can sense that. The opposite is true too. When someone constantly explains themselves, interrupts others, or talks just to avoid awkward silence, they're often trying to reduce their own anxiety, not increase their influence. But there's another reason quiet people often win. While everyone else is focused on being heard, they're focused on understanding. Picture two friends negotiating the price of a car. One keeps talking, trying to convince the seller. The other simply listens. The seller eventually becomes uncomfortable with the silence and starts revealing more information. Maybe they're in a hurry, maybe they're willing to lower the price, maybe they accidentally expose their real limit. The quiet person learns more because they create space for others to speak. Silence isn't empty, it's a magnet. People naturally fill it. Now think about everyday conversations. How often do we stop listening because we're already preparing our next sentence? Most people aren't listening to understand, they're listening to reply. Quiet people often do something different. They observe tiny details most people miss. The hesitation before someone answers, the excitement in their voice, the nervous laugh, the words they don't say. Those details reveal far more than the conversation itself. But don't confuse silence with fear. Staying quiet because you're afraid to speak isn't power. Choosing silence when you could speak, that's power. Knowing you have something to prove is weakness. Knowing you don't need to prove anything is strength. This doesn't mean you should never talk. It means your words should have a purpose. The people who influence others the most aren't usually the ones speaking the longest. They're the ones whose words are worth waiting for. So the next time you're in a conversation, resist the urge to fill every pause. Watch what people reveal. Notice how differently they respond to someone who isn't chasing attention. Because in a world where everyone is trying to be the loudest voice, the person who truly understands the power of silence is often the one everyone follows.